report card. It excelled in the areas of overall hospital rating. Now that's an incredible
Excelled.
Excelled.
Not just met the standard, but excelled.
Excelled. And of all the hospitals in Chautauqua County, we are the only one that excelled. So
well, congratulations. Well done. Well
very
done.
Pleased. We also have added 2 surgeons, Dr. Assad and Dr. Bedwell. We have the only ear, nose, and throat clinic in Chautauqua County at Westfield Memorial Hospital.
And you know what? I think someone wants to ask this question.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
So good morning, listener.
Good morning. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, Mort.
How are you?
Fine.
I just caught the program at literally just a minute ago. So I've missed much of what you've had to say. Apparently you're discussing about the years of bringing the hospital back into the... Is that correct?
Yes, since the Burger Commission.
Well, are we back there yet? I thought we were several years ago.
Well, what we're talking about today, Mark, is we're giving an update since the last couple of years since we've had to deal with the Burger Commission and so forth.
Well, for any of your listeners who don't know, Helen is largely responsible for much of the positive changes in the hospital's finances and operation.
That's true.
I tell you, when I came here as administrator in 1981, Helen was the most helpful member of the community in getting me started.
Thank you.
Bart, did you have a question or anything else you want to talk about?
No, I wanted to get in a compliment for Helen.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mort. I appreciate that.
And I think the community should be very much aware of the fact of Helen's considerable contributions to the success of the hospital.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Bart, as always, it's good to hear from you.
Well, it's good to hear you.
Good to be heard. All right, you have a wonderful day.
And you too.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was really nice, but there are a lot of other people that have certainly walked along that walk and made phone calls and written letters and really gotten into this very deeply to allow us to continue to have a hospital in Westfield and actually serve with some services now that no one would ever have thought of.
Well, you know, and I was thinking about that. You know, sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where it's, oh my gosh, you know, something's coming down heavy, we've got to change, and when the change comes, all of a sudden sort of like, you know, sometimes we're better and stronger for it.
Right.
And that's how I'm seeing this. So why don't you tell us why Westfield Memorial Hospital is better, bigger, and better for it?
Well, the connection with St. Vincent certainly is great because we have a lot of their people coming down to Westfield, working with staff, doing clinics, doing education. And even besides that, we now have a connection with the Catholic system in Buffalo. And they're involved in the wound clinic that we have at Westfield. If you've got diabetes, advanced diabetes, you may have some ulcers on your legs, or you may have an incision that isn't healing.
Sure.
And so we have a wound clinic at Westfield Hospital, and that's something that is serving a lot of people.
No, all right. Now, I'm going to ask this from time to time. So if somebody has this situation, how do they access this?
They can call the hospital, but basically they have to be referred by their doctor. If they don't have a doctor, then call the hospital and they'll arrange for you to be seen.
So all these services that we're going to be talking about this morning, it's available to all of you that's watching right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a sleep lab now too. One of the buzzwords of insurance companies and doctors' offices is sleep apnea.
I've heard that.
And that's when you keep waking up during the night, or you're snoring, or you don't feel rested.
Imagine that.
Yes, imagine that. Well, we have the Westfield Auxiliary and Foundation have decorated a room that's just like home. So you can come in, go to sleep. You're hooked up with a lot of electrodes, like an electrocardiogram type thing, and then people from St. Vincent are there to monitor you, read the results, and prescribe what you need. You may need a CPAP machine or something like that, but in any case, they will help you get so you're sleeping all night long.
Now, I'm assuming this is covered by insurance?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And the insurance companies really want you to have these tests because without getting your sleep corrected, all kinds of things can happen.
Yeah,
it's not good for your heart. your pulmonary, your lungs, anything. It's a very serious situation.
It's a preventative type thing.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Sleep clinic, sleep lab.
Yeah, I had mentioned the ear, nose, and throat clinic, and that is really great. And my personal feeling about that is we still have children coming into what was the maternity section because they're coming in to have their ears examined, tubes put in. They're being seen by the doctors, have their tonsils out, or things like that. So that's really a good thing.
Now, this is ENT?
Yes, ENT, ear, nose, and throat.
All right, and from what I understand, this is the only one of its kind in the county?
That's right, that's right.
How can that be? I mean, this not like
because-
this hasn't been around for a while.
No, there used to be ear, nose, and throat specialist, Dr. Weinberg in Jamestown, and she left.
So now
And-
we've got it.
Yes, yes. And, you know, we're finding this to be true of a lot of specialties. There are shortages of some of the specialists. So that's the other good thing about our connection with St. Vincent and the Catholic system in Buffalo, is we can bring those specialists here to be seen by people. And we have a list of specialists we are now trying to look at as far as coming in for a day every 2 weeks or something like that.
You know, for those of you who are watching right now, you've got grandchildren maybe that spend some time at the house. You know, and if you start to see some things, and I'd say this as an educator, if they're rubbing their nose a lot or itching their eyes, or you say, you know, do this or this, and they're not responding, you know, you might mention it to the parent because there could be a blockage in the ears and this sort of thing. And when they go to school, this sometimes is an issue. So right here in Westfield, you can get that checked out. But now, what about for adults and the seniors? Is this a growing interest to them as well?
Yes. You know, difficulty breathing through your nose. You might have you might have a growth in your nose.
Yeah,
called
things
the
that you
nasal
don't
polyp.
even realize.
Throat. You know, if you have a blockage in your throat, you have trouble swallowing. Those are all things that affect a lot of us as we're getting older.
It seems as we grow, we have things that start to sprout on us.
Yes.
Things on our skin, things inside of us. You know, that's why we go for colonoscopies and things like this. It's just things that, as we get older, our bodies change. So that's great. So keep that in mind.
That's right. And as far as ears go,
boy.
you know, your primary care physician, if you have ringing in your ears or something like that, and the primary care physician looks in your ears, you know, he or she can probably deal with wax buildup and you know, taking care of that. But you might have another problem. And so you may need a hearing test and that sort of thing. So these are all things that you can be referred to the clinic.
Now, if you, for instance, they say as we get older, our hearing is one of the first things that go. Can they refer us to audiologists and things? And there's all sorts of folks that do that sort of thing.
That's right. That's right.
So it sounds like Westfield Memorial is almost like a one-stop.
Yeah, and then
that way.
Another thing that I didn't mention that we formed a couple of years ago was the Parkinson's disease support group. And there's one in Westfield. I think Jim Fisher heads this up. He has one in the Jamestown area or Panama. I'm not sure where that is. But Parkinson's disease is something that we're seeing a lot of today. And multiple sclerosis is another movement disorder. So all of these can go to the support group at Westfield, and you can call the front desk and find out when the meetings are. We are now in the process of trying to move into having a movement disorder neurologist as part of this, you know, to meet with people or to see them, or have, you know, one of his physician extenders see these people too, because that's very important. But the Parkinson's support group is really great as far as, you know, talking to people about what they can do in their own homes to make life a little easier for them, and it's good for the families of people afflicted with this disease.
You know, I had a wonderful opportunity to interview Jim maybe about a year and a half ago for Silver Magazine. I did a feature article on Parkinson's. And, you know, folks, you know, when you live in a rural area, which we said is a great place to live, well, what also happens, though, is not only is it nice, but we sometimes get isolated. We get isolated in our smaller communities, and when we start to have some kind of minor affliction, sometimes we just kind of, you know, suck it up, and we know it's no big deal. We don't think too much about it, and with guys especially, we're rockheads, and we don't say anything to our spouses or our children, and we let it go too long. So if you have some of these concerns, get them checked out. If you think that someone has some issues with Parkinson's, get a hold of Jim at the hospital. He has these outreach groups that Helen was talking about, and learn more about it. Don't wait till it's too late. They got some good medicines out there that can help slow down these conditions. And we're all vulnerable to these things. So, let's use our heads. Let's pick up the phone. Let's get in the car, go down there, and check these things out.
Yeah, and I think that I owe a huge thank you to Senator Kathy Young and former Assemblyman Bill Parman, because they were in Albany while we went through this whole situation at Westfield. And they actually went into the health department. They met with the health department officials and helped ease the way. And current Assemblyman Andy Goodell has a good understanding of the rural areas, and he's a wonderful representative. So, you have to work with these people, and we are so lucky to have exceptional legislators who understand Chautauqua County.
Absolutely. They've been guests on our show. But we got another phone call. So, good morning, caller. How are you?
Good morning. But a beautiful, beautiful day, and tomorrow's supposed to be even better.
It is.
This may be redundant because I didn't tune in until late, but our hospital is going to be allowed to continue as a hospital and not just be closed. So, is this long-term or?
Yes, it is. We have a 5-year operating certificate, which is a maximum number of years. So there was a lot of hoorays and hallelujahs when that arrived in the mail.
Oh, there sure was. All over. I know the village for sure, and I'm pretty sure Ripley and Sherman and Mayville and places like that were pretty happy about this.
Oh, without any question.
Yes.
So yes, it was very, very good. Well, I guess that's my question, and I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend, and a special hello to Mr. and Mrs. B.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That was an interesting comment about the outlying communities, and maybe you could comment about the first responders, the volunteer firemen, because there was a huge concern, I remember at one point, that if Westfield were to close the ER, we would have a catastrophic situation here in this part of the county.
We sure would have, and the emergency squad said, if Westfield's emergency room closes, that's it for us. Because they couldn't take the time away, or they couldn't really afford to transport the patients who were having a real serious health problem, because there would be quite a few people that would die. And for an example, our ED is busy, and as I mentioned, that we have physicians, emergency room physicians staffing that emergency room. During the month of July, we had over 1,000 people come to that emergency room, and a lot of those
1,000 people?
1,000, and a lot of those people came by ambulance.
That's like 1/3 of Ripley. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and about 100 of those people were transferred to a tertiary center, which was either St. Vincent, or if it was a trauma case, a car accident, they went to
All right,
Hammond.
now you're telling me 1,000 people in 1 month came to the hospital.
That's
100
right.
went to St. Vincent's. Where were the minds in this Burger Commission that said that Westfield wasn't necessary?
I have
What's
a
that all
really
about?
good answer for that.
Well, then let's have it.
They were in New York City.
Oh,
So-
they were just looking like
Getting
On
rid
paper.
of X number of beds to meet the deal that the Pataki administration made with the federal government.
Okay.
Because if X number of beds were eliminated in New York State, the federal government was online to give the New York State government a bunch of money.
so they're going to throw us under the bus to get the money.
That's right, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
And but some hospitals did end up closing, right?
Yes, they did.
But we-
Absolutely. But the ones that got hurt the most were the rural hospitals.
Don, can you zoom in on Helen's button over here on the right side here? I mean, that tells everything right there. It says, we did it.
We did it.
Westfield Memorial Hospital is here to stay, right on there. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, and some folks out here in the community have these buttons. We still have buttons like that around?
I think so.
Okay,
I think
maybe
so.
check it at the hospital.
Yeah.
But anyways, that just galls me, where people from the other side of the state make all these decrees and things, and it affects our lives. I had the same issue when I was school superintendent.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got this call. I was like a superintendent for a couple months, and they said the Commissioner of Education would like you to come over Friday for a meeting. This was like Thursday morning. And I go, do you know where I am? I'm 350 miles away. And she says, well,